Hello. Well, welcome back to your favorite show, the Talk Shop. And as we say it, we tell the truth and let the chips fall where the bloody hell may. And as you know, what we always say is this: truth crashed to earth shall rise again. And finally, to our dear brothers and sisters from the Jadam family, we have made a promise. I Beginas are promising till death do us part, that we will always crash the Jandam with the truth. Truth crash to earth shall rise again. And of course, the question that you're all waiting for me to ask is this: what time is it, folks? It's nation time. It's nation time. It's nation time. Folks, today on Nation Time, bear with me a little bit, because I want to take you back just a little bit on Nation Time, man, because it's going to be smoking. First, let me start off with a really, really sincere apology to all of you out there. Please don't give up. I know that I had promised you that we are sending out a petition that is going online for folks to sign on behalf of the quest for freeing Ato Essien. And I know I promised it's going to be out on Monday. For a couple of reasons, I'm pleading with you. You know, I have a legal team too that looks after everything. And in terms of crossing the T's and dotting the I's, they pointed a few things that they say it was important for me to enhance. So that is what is happening now. So I beg you, move and check me. Move and check me. Wait there. I wish I could go on my knees. The way I am, when I go on my knees, I can't get up. Maybe. But please, honestly, forgive me for the delay. Tomorrow we'll announce the site that I hope all of you will go and sign and sign and sign. Already people are asking me, KSM, where's the site? We want to put our signatures. And I'm happy with the vim and the momentum. But I beg you, forgive me. I apologize. And we couldn't come out yesterday for other technical problems, but we're back today, and I'm telling you the site will be available tomorrow. So thank you very much for forgiving me. Folks, let me tell you something. I got some comments from people, and one of them said, hey, KSM, this Ato Essien kid, leave it alone, don't touch it. The man has stolen money. Why this? Please leave it alone, don't touch it. Why go to touch this? Folks, I am tempted to respond by giving you a slight history of who KSM is and what TALKSHOP is all about. Frankly, between me and you, TALKSHOP started in 1997, which means TALKSHOP started on air 28 years ago. And folks, from the people who know the show, not the newcomers, so some of you are newcomers who have recently joined, and I thank you all for joining and your support. But for those original people who know the show, they know that I started the show in 1997. That was 28 years ago. And folks, I'm saying this because ever since the show began, my passion has been change of mindset. My passion has been justice. And every case that I get passionate about has been on TALKSHOP. And I'm talking about 28 years ago. Let me tell you something. It's not something recent. Okay, let me take you far, a little bit. I'm getting on my show today, but give me just a slight chance. You know, the first time I visited in some prison, oh my God, I think that was in 1990. I'll get the date, but forgive me. That date was somewhere way back, early 2000 or somewhere in late 1990s. What's his name? Ambassador Harunata. You all know him. He was a former ambassador, His Excellency Harunata. And our own journalist, Kweku Bako, had been put in prison under the then Jerry Rawlings regime because of something they had published regarding his wife, Nana Konadu. Harunata, Kweku Bako, they were jailed at Nswan prison years ago. Folks, I went there to visit them, sit down with them, Number one, just to show support, because when they incarcerate you and you're there easy, I want to be with them. And they are not dead. You can ask them both. So when they were jailed way back then, over 20 years ago, who came to visit? I'm just making a point here. When after Kwekubako and Harunata, of course, the government changed, and I think Kufuor came into power, and MPP came into power under President Kufuor, His Excellency Kufuor. And at that time, folks, do you know who was sent to jail? Chachuchi Kata was in jail for financial loss. Victor Salome was sent to jail for financial loss. I think Malam Issa, he was then in the sports, he was also sent to jail. Whatever the reasons were, the underlying factor was financial loss. For me, I went to pay them a visit, not on any political grounds. Say, somebody's in jail, Charlie. They need company, they need people to talk to. So I visited Chachu Kata when he was in jail. I visited Francis Salome when he was in jail. And Malam Issa, they all tell you. This was after the era when Kwekubako and Haruna had been released. Okay, and it goes on and on. Later on, it came to be that under the MPP again, I think Eugene Bafo-Boni. You remember the NCA scandal? There was a 4 million CD scandal. Eugene Bafo-Boni, I think Alhaji Usman and William Tevi, the three of them were sent to jail. I paid them a visit just to talk with them. And you won't believe what I hear when I talk to them when they're in jail. They open up and they tell me stuff. And the stuff that I know, they'll come out later. But I visited them, you know. And I know at that time, William Tevi, I think, had a bout with kidney or something. He got presidential release because he was dealing with a very serious case of a kidney crisis. And Usman, Alhaji Usman, also got released because of other health problems, you know. But I just want you to know that I visited them all when they were in jail. Not for any particular motivation. Say, Charlie, they were out there, they say, on the jail. That's me. That's just KSM. Okay? So let's fast forward to the people that question me, but why Ato Essien and all that stuff. Folks, it is me. It is me. You know? And of course, I listen, I gather information, and then I do what I have to do. When Chachu Kata came out of jail, the first show he granted an interview on was on the KSM show. Folks, I'm just laying a foundation that if I'm talking about Ato Essien today, and yet recent, I haven't just gotten up and I just picked Ato Essien out of the blue and said, well, let me talk about him. No, for me, issues of justice, issues of truth are very, very important. Hey, maybe I may be wrong in one way or the other. Maybe I can be faulty here. I'm not perfect. But what I know is this: when in my mind I'm clear about certain things, I take a stand. The stand may be right, the stand may be wrong, but my convictions tell me, take a stand. That's who I am. I beg you. You know, some time ago, you know how every ethnic group, they have a stereotype. Yes, in front of a concert, achieve for per month. That's what they say. As and for your hand time, everybody had their own little thing, you know. Mimi achini, they say ye per month, which means we like conflict. And then we explain that no, ye per month, ye per justice. I know, said of late, I changed recording. I said, the achieve record of being justice and on. But no, there are still some who are still keen on justice. That was just an aside. But let me talk about me getting involved with this whole Ato Essien case. It started off as, yeah, maybe a human interest thing. The man is not well. The man had a fall while at in swim. and injured his spine. You can talk to any doctor or any health expert that when you have a spine injury, how dangerous is this? Everything, our whole body, our nerves, maybe I linked to the spinal. So the fall was severe and brutal. The man spent close to, 8 or more months at 37, lying prostrate like this. That's a spinal problem he had, and generated to many other problems, which I am not at liberty to discuss on air. It is quite unprofessional to talk about people's health conditions regarding certain things on air. But I'm saying this, that he had a severe spinal problem. The man is in a wheelchair. The man is crippled. He's in a wheelchair. And the other time I did the episode on him, I said he was wearing some socks. They're called compression socks. And you have to always wear compression socks because it helps you, or helps the body battle with blood clots. When you get a blood clot in the knee or the leg, you can go out just like this. So folks, yes, I'm saying for a while, that was my appeal. When I appealed to the president, said, please give him clemency, I was thinking only health, honestly, And because I was interested in the case and I was pleading on his behalf for clemency, because the man is crippled and in a wheelchair and in prison. And I spoke earlier, I said there were two people that I named, William Tevi, who had a kidney problem, and Usman also had a back problem, who eventually got presidential pardons because of their medical condition. It's nothing new. So based on that, and I appeal to Jam to Dachale and beg this Ato Essien to has a medical condition, and it is severe. So you are the president. You can do it if you want to or not want to. But I'm pleading with you, please think about that. If you are thinking about clemency, put him on the line. Why? Because I thought just on humanitarian grounds, the guy's condition deserved it. But then again, I realized that even beyond the humanitarian, folks, there are other reasons of legal justice that we have to contend with. And I kid you not. I kid you not. Number one, the first thing is this. Among the other people charged with Ato Essien for whatever charges they laid out, there were 4 of them. It wasn't just Ato Essien, no. There were 4 of them. 4 people that were charged. Ato Essien is the first accused. The second accused was Dr. Tete Neti. The third accused was Reverend Fitzgerald Odonko. And the fourth accused was Kate Kote Papafew. So folks, I'm not being judgmental, I'm not saying anything, I'm just bringing out the fact that there were 3 others who were charged with Ato Essien on conspiracy charges, and for whatever reason, and these were the 4 accused people. However, for a certain reason, only Ato Essien is likely in jail. So what? And the charges were conspiracy. Let me throw this to you, and then those of you who respond to me can respond. Can you commit conspiracy by yourself? So if he's there on allegations of conspiracy, why is he the only one in there when there were 4 accused people? And I'm not quite a conspiracy. No. So these are things that people like me, unfortunately, who believe in justice, there are questions that will ask. So how come? There were 4 accused, and so people like me will wonder, so why is it that only 1 has gone to jail for this? And the other thing too, folks, that occurred to me, and some of the people who were sort of angry with me, and the point they made, which I respect, was that, Ato Essien has been giving free money, bailout. The bank has been bailed out, and all this money has been thrown at the bank Capital Bank, bailout from the Bank of Ghana. And let me clarify this, folks, before I continue. See, when you hear the word bailout, the immediate thing that comes to our mind is free money. And Ato Essien saying, yeah, bail you out with all this money, it's free money. But no, go and check. The Bank of Ghana does not give money out when your bank is going through liquidity problems as a bailout, as free money. No, it is given as a loan. It is given as a loan. And all the money given to Capital Bank, I know was a loan. And I'm also aware from the readings I've done was that Capital Bank was supposed to pay 23% interest rate. So it's not like there was free money that had been thrown out. And that's why many people are angry. Somebody called me, who cares? This is a matter of, can you imagine somebody getting all this money and people are suffering, they haven't gone to hospital, they can't go to hospital. He made a whole big thing, which I understood as some of the effects of corruption and Aban will be free money. This wasn't free money. This was a loan, which actually, from all records, Capital Bank had started paying before he was jailed. So these are some of the things that, unfortunately, people like me will think about and say, why? If he has started paying, do we make sure he pays? Do we make sure that if there has been some kind of stoppage in the payment system, there's something that needs to be explained and things like that? All I'm saying, folks, you don't just grab that person and throw them in jail. Even if what you say is what the law said they should be done, people like me will think, really? Folks, I'm sorry if people impute I don't know what to impute to this, but I don't have any personal stake in this. That's why I started by explaining to people that people being accused of things, I will think about things and make sure that things fall into place for me to understand before I jump on the bandwagon. And all I'm saying is this, that with this particular case, as much as people may disagree with me, I really honestly believe that I have what lawyers call reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt means that even though all the charges have been made, even though he's been found guilty, if you look at everything together, a few things may create some reasonable doubt in your mind. That's all. And if you go to any court of law, or if you ask any lawyer, before a lawyer wins a case, it is assumed that he cleared the case so well that there was no reasonable doubt. I don't know. But whenever there's reasonable doubt, it's a cause for concern. And that's all I'm saying. And my convictions tells me, KSM said, there's reasonable doubt. So all those sending me messages about stop, don't even go dead, and I don't know why, but it is not necessary. I'm not going anywhere. I am just looking at the case and saying, Charlie, there's more to it than meets the eye. Unless you can answer me in your next text you send me, 4 were accused, but only 1 was in jail. What happened to the other 3? Maybe you can explain. I don't know. And can you also explain that this whole bank ratio thing, this liquidity thing, and I believe, I want to be sure, man, from what I've read there, I believe that the Capital Bank was operating around 12%, which was below what the government requires. And so for that reason, the Bank of Ghana can come in and say, actually, 12% is below. But then when you find out that there were other banks that were even below where Capital Bank was, allegedly, NIB was below that, allegedly ADB, and what's the third bank that Prudential Bank. They were all below that 12% thing. So people like me don't have a right to have a personal doubt, say, and I said this thing that you went for, and you went for capital, and if this thing there was 12% and other banks were below that, how was it that other banks were not affected in the collapse? Passion bisa we am bisa bone. Tell me. And maybe when you are writing to me, you can indicate and tell me why it was okay for other banks to operate below that, but for Capital Bank, it was not. These are reasonable doubts for me. So folks, I am saying this. Honestly, I say this for sure that the man's condition is quite deplorable. People have given me all kinds of reasons. There are people in jail who have also diseases who are there. Fine, Matthias here. But does it mean that we can't start somewhere? It's been established that people have been released from jail before their term because of health issues. So that has been established. So I'm saying, what makes it different with this particular case? And if the argument is that there are more people with health issues, I agree. But what does that tell us? It tells us that overall, we probably have a very, very inefficient and ineffective legal system that is not protecting the innocent people. That's what it means, though. If you're telling me, say, if you go to Swan right now, or you go to other prisons, there are so many people, they have diseases, but they are in jail. They're giddy. Why? Why can't there be a system to find out those who are really, really sick and those who don't even have to be there, but are there? So instead of coming against me for lifting this issue, please support me rather and saying, okay, I'm using Ato Essien because he's this has become a celebrity case. He's well known. That's the example. But it doesn't mean that beyond him, we can look at the bigger picture of others. Folks, but the main thing is this, so I don't digress. For me, the appeal was really a health thing. It was really a health thing. That's why I've quoted that 2 other prisoners, and perhaps more, have been granted presidential pardon for health reasons. And that's the nature of the first petition that I wrote. But I understand now that even beyond the health thing, there's an issue of justice. That should be part of the petition. There's an issue of justice. That's why I've named them, say, Nipa 4, you're trying 1. Why? There were other banks that were not operating on the same way, but Capital Bank and other banks were close, where there were banks that were performing even lower than that expectation. Why? These are issues of justice, man. And these are things that we should all look into. And additionally, if it's the fact that some payments have been made and he'd been sent into jail, where does the other payments come from? How does he continue with the payments? And the bank is collapsed. How does that work? Folks, I don't understand it. How does that work? How does that work? And if we are really interested in getting the money, then can't we maybe reopen the case? Ampo. Because me, I'm a lawyer, and I'll be frank with you to say I'm not a lawyer, so maybe everything I said is out of damn ignorance. But prove to me that I am talking ignorantly. That at the time, the ratio that Capital Bank was operating, other banks were operating lower, and those banks weren't touched. Doesn't that give me cause for reasonable doubt? It does. So folks, let's focus on one thing at a time, please. And I just initially just threw you back to how I started TALKSHOP and the issues I've always been concerned with. It has never been any personal engagement with me. Say, I know the person, so I'm battling for them. No! There were cases I didn't have the slightest idea of who's involved. Some of you who remember, who are old enough now, remember that once upon a time, women were being killed left, right, and center in Accra. You wake up and you find the body of a dead woman at Akwanso. It became a big issue. Because you find dead bodies of women all over. Go back and research. I'm sure my producer will find a few evidence there and throw it out there. Women were being killed. Did I know the woman? Was any of my relatives killed? No. But guess what? I am the only person that organized a candlelight vigil. I remember. I don't know how many years ago it was. At the Osu Presbyterian Church. So let's have a candlelight vigil, and then people who would come and give speeches, pray, whatever, to make sure that we come to the end of this killings. Osu Presby, candlelight vigil. I remember, I don't know, there was a whole line of people who came, but the only one that I remember now was Reverend Uso. I think he's a pastor at Adum TV or something now. Reverend Uso is a first witness. He was a guest preacher when I organized that thing, to fight for women who were being killed. Me, my sister, and so what? They're not human beings. And I remember at that time when I used to start TALKSHOP, I always started in these words. I said, folks, let us get together and fight and protect our women. Because if one of us is not free, none of us are free. Every time I began TALKSHOP, consistently for the period of the time that women were being killed, that's how I started my program. Let's get together and fight this thing, because if one of us is not free, none of us are free. Do you remember that back in the day, there were times that we were discovering bodies of women outside, especially here in Accra? Even at that time, I remember J.J. Rollins went to open his mouth. Look at J.J. When J.J. Rollins went to open his mouth, he said, oh, he has evidence that it is being done by the MPP. Then that's what he said. And at that time, Ato was the head of CID. You remember Ato? So Ato was the one who was commissioned to go and interview. That time, J.J. Rollins was a former president. But he was commissioned to go and interview or interrogate J.J. Rollins. That was the first time I got a call from Victor Smith. He says, KSM, they say the CID is going to come to the president's residence to interview him. He says I should call you because you have been talking about this thing on your show all the time. So he wants you there as a witness. I was there. I even remember people bashing me saying, hey, we didn't know that KSM or Can Rollins closed it because he was at the interrogation or whatever Ato was going to do. It wasn't because I was part of anything. It was just because he knew that every time I got on my show, I was talking about the women that were being killed. And so if the CID is going to interview him, I don't think he was a president then, but if the CID is going to interview him there, he wants me there present as a witness. I was honored and shocked. Victor Smith called me. Go and find out from him. Meeting babe, he called me. Say, JJ wants you around. I said, me? I was saying, you've been talking about this all the time, so they want you there just to witness the interrogation. So I was there when Ato was interrogating J.J. Rollins about the woman's death and what he had said. Namitiobi. Folks, I just want to understand something about me. I'm not bragging or anything, but my position has been principled ever since I got on air 28 years ago. And when there's something I don't understand, I'll talk about it. I'm sorry. I mean, that's, and maybe sometimes people come, when people ask me, say, no, Sufi here, we say, oh, I blame my father. That's what I tell people, I blame my father. They say, oh, what has your father got to do with this? And I say, he's the one that insisted that I should have a conscience. And then they hammer on me, this is my conscience. I didn't like it that women were dying every day and nothing seemed to be happening. So I organized an all-night vigil for this. So please, when I come up here and I say this Ato Essien thing too, I don't understand it because I have some benefit of the doubt and I'm talking. It's not out of anything but just when I don't understand, I ask. That's all. And that is exactly what is coming, what is happening now. You know, I think in terms of health, if health is failing and a pardon is needed, and in terms of justice, not all has been told. So I guess some kind of renewal of the investigation is necessary. because when you look at the issues, for me, there are more questions than answers. I've said this before, there are more questions than answers. So folks, I beg you, forgive me, said the petition hasn't come out, but it'll definitely be out tomorrow. So please stand by and forgive me for my lateness. But also, please understand where I'm coming from. So say we are all talking about building a nation, and part of nation building is actually making sure that our legal system and our justice system is on the money. And these are some of the things that we will always be talking about that we should build on. So folks, hang in there, and tomorrow we shall bring out our petition, and I want you to sign. Like I said, it is not just a health issue, there's also a justice issue going on. Well, for me, I am really glad that I know that there are other people from different angles who are all, talking about petitioning for Ato Essien's freedom. It's very funny. Me on TALKSHOP, me and the producer decided, let's do this. I am not linked or know anybody. It was recently that somebody asked me, oh, do I know one? What name was it? Have I gotten in touch with Dr. Apia? We're doing this together. I don't even know Dr. Apia. You want to put that, So, I mean, if he's doing it, great. I'm just saying I'm glad that other people from different angles are talking about it. And please, we need more people. And when the petition comes out tomorrow, as much as we can, let us all sign and let us see the freedom of Ato Essien. Until then, trust me, so long as we are here, we shall continue in our fight to make sure that we raise high the flag of Ghana and we make sure that this nation rises again.